Good day, learners. This is Ma'am Bea, and for today's lesson, we are going to get into the world of the smallest particle of matter called atoms and molecules. Are you ready? Let's start. For this topic, you are expected to explain physical changes in terms of the arrangement of motion of atoms and molecules. So we are going to expound the physical changes in matter and also immerse our minds in the phase changes in matter and how all of these happens. Now, try to observe the following images on the screen. What have you noticed? The water boils, the ice cream melts, as well as the candle. There is a change in the appearance of the objects, right? In the occurrences there, you can say that the only constant thing in this world is change, and that is what are we going to talk about in our lesson. By the way, this lesson requires basic knowledge about the three states of matter for further understanding. So please make sure that you have watched the previous video, which is all about the particle nature of matter. Matter undergo either physical or chemical change. This proves that matter undergo lots of changes from time to time. Let's talk about physical change. Physical change occurs when a substance changes its appearance without changing its composition, while chemical change is the transformation of a substance to another substance. As what you can observe in the picture, the ice, which is a solid made up of water, turns back into water and turns into water vapor, but still has the presence of water particles, which is hydrogen and oxygen. And that is what you call physical change. There is just a change in physical properties like the appearance, but there is no changes in the chemical properties or chemical composition. So the following images that I have shown you a while ago, such as the boiling of water, the melting of ice cream, and the melting of candle, are examples of physical changes from a particular state of matter to another one. And this occurrence is what we call phase change. Per definition, phase change is the process of changing from one physical state to another. Before we discuss phase change, let us first remember that atom is the smallest particle of a component that has all the properties of the element. And molecule is composed of one or more atoms and is constantly moving. These particles are the ones affected during phase change. The existence of matter in a solid, liquid, and gaseous phase enables us to infer the structure of matter. The atoms and molecules in each state of matter have unique bond and movement. Let us further discuss the structure of the three phases of matter. First, solids. In solids, the molecules are compact and only have small spaces between them. That's the reason why the molecules only vibrate in their position, because their movement is restricted. And also, molecules of solids are held together by strong forces. That's why shape of solids are fixed. Next, liquids. In liquids, the molecules are moving slowly because each of them have farther spaces than solids, which are tightly compact. Molecular attraction of solids are much stronger than gases, but not as much as how molecules are tightly bonded like in solids. This explains why liquids take over the shape of the container where they are situated. Due to the much farther space liquid has, its molecules can move and change position. And we have gases. Molecules of gases spread up to fill whatever space is available. So as gases fill the space where they are introduced, they scatter farther from each other. Molecules of gases move very fast because they have weaker bonds than solids and liquids, and there is much space for them to move. Okay, we have already reviewed the appearance of atoms in solids, liquids, and gases, including how they move and their other physical properties. Again, Phase change is the process of changing from one physical state to another. Now, molecular bonds, which are responsible for keeping an object's physical appearance in place, can be strengthened or weakened, which will result to phase changes, and it is the heat energy that is responsible for doing it. There are two processes of heat transfer that is responsible for phase change, the endothermic and the exothermic process. Endothermic came from the Greek words endo, which means inside, and therme, meaning to heat. Endothermic process refers to the process where heat energy is absorbed as molecules speed up and expand. This is responsible for changing solid to liquid or solid to gas and liquid to gas. On the other hand, exothermic that came from the Greek words exo, which means outside, and therme, meaning to heat, refers to the process where heat energy is released as molecules slow down and move closer together. This is responsible for changing gas to solid or gas to liquid and liquid to solid. Phase change has 6 types. First, we have melting. Melting is a phase change from solid to liquid. In the melting process, the molecules of solid speeds up because it absorbs energy from its surroundings we call the endothermic process. This results to the molecules to move apart. An example of this phase change is the melting of ice to water. Now, any solid matter which becomes liquid after heat is being introduced undergo the process of melting. Next, we have freezing. Freezing is a phase change from liquid to solid. It is the opposite reaction of melting, where heat energy is released that results to the slowing down of molecules, and then they move closer together. That makes the molecular bond stronger, resulting to liquid becoming solid. An example of this is the freezing of water to ice. Next type is vaporization. Vaporization is the phase change from liquid to gas. It occurs at the boiling point of water, which is 100 degrees Celsius. As vaporization takes place, the molecule speeds up, move farther apart, and absorb heat energy from the surroundings. There are other examples aside water which undergo vaporization. Remember that vaporization does not take place when boiling point is not reached. The fourth one is condensation. Condensation is the phase change from gas to liquid, so it is the opposite of vaporization. In this process, the molecule slows down, move closer together, and release heat energy to the surroundings. Condensation happens when air or vapor is introduced to a cold object or any type of cold matter. So the hot air cools down and the molecules starts to bind each other and move closer, forming liquid. Another one is sublimation. It is a phase change from solid to gas. A common example of it are naphthalene balls or mothballs that is being used as bug killer, often placed in cabinets or in any corners of the house. The balls melts into gas. During this phase change, the molecule speeds up and move farther apart as the heat energy is absorbed from the surroundings. And the last one is deposition. Deposition is the phase change from gas to solid. This process involves exothermic process where heat is released in the surroundings, resulting to the slowing down of molecules and going compact together again. An example of this is the frost inside our freezer in the refrigerator. Another example is the formation of snow. Again, phase change have 6 types, and these are the following. For phase change that undergo endothermic process, we have melting, vaporization, and sublimation, while phase change that undergo exothermic process are freezing, condensation, and deposition. For further explanation and understanding about physical change, please watch this video attentively.
Hello everyone! Welcome to I Question PH. Our today's question is, what are the physical changes in matter? Matter can undergo changes. One of it is the physical change. It happens when the material of the matter changes in size, form, or shape, but not in its chemical composition. Here are some examples of a physical change. First, the evaporation. It is the change of matter from liquid to gas. It is the same process that lets your washed clothes dry when they are placed under the sun. As the sun heats the water in your clothes, it evaporates and turns to water vapor, which is a gas. The second example of a physical change is condensation. It is when the gas changes to liquid. When we place cold water in a glass and leave it on a table, droplets of water will form after a few minutes outside the glass. The water droplets are the result of condensation. The third example of a physical change is melting. It is the phase change of matter from solid to liquid. The lighted candle demonstrates the process of melting. The fourth example of a physical change is freezing. It is the opposite of melting. It is the phase change of matter from liquid to solid. When you pour water into a container and place it inside the freezer, the water will freeze and turn to ice. And the last example is the sublimation. It is the process in which solid changes into gas without passing the liquid phase. It can be best observed when dry ice, a solid, turns into a gas. You can see that most changes in a phase of matter are physical changes. Always remember that in a physical change, no new substances are formed. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.
Okay, have you understood our topic for today? Let's have a quick recap. Physical change occurs when a substance changes its appearance without changing its composition. This is also what we call phase change, where a phase of matter changes into another. Phase changes occur because of the presence of heat, which is being transferred inside the system, or outside, which is the surroundings. There are two types of heat transfer. We have exothermic and endothermic processes. Exothermic is the process of heat transfer where heat is released to the surroundings, while endothermic is the absorption of heat into the system from the surroundings. These are responsible for the 6 phase changes to happen, and these are the following. Melting. Endothermic heat transfer process is responsible for turning solid into liquid. Freezing. The opposite of melting, where heat energy is released from the system to the surroundings, resulting to liquid turning into solid. Vaporization. Another type of phase change that undergoes an endothermic process which is responsible for turning liquid into gas. Condensation undergo exothermic process responsible for turning gas into liquid. Sublimation, which also undergo exothermic process resulting to solid turning into gas. And deposition, which undergo endothermic process resulting to gas turning back into solid. These types of phase change occur in our daily lives, and knowing all of these gives us a better understanding of all the activities around us that involves physical change in matter. And that is all for this lesson. This is Ma'am Bea, your science teacher, and I am hoping that everything that you have learned in this lesson will help you further in studying science. Thank you for listening, and until the next lesson.